What's going on, traders? Happy Friday. I hope you guys all had an amazing ending to your trading week. But as usual, I'm going to go ahead and provide you guys with the recap and let you guys know exactly how it went for me day trading wise. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. And as you guys can see right from my account, today was another significant red day, right? So if you guys saw my video from Wednesday, I believe we were down, my brother and I on our account nearly 2K on the day because Tesla, took a nice dip. And then, yesterday it did recover somewhat and we were able to make some back. But today, another significant loss yet again. As you guys can see, Tesla is back down to the 253 price point. And so it took another big dip today, right? As well as, the overall NASDAQ and all of our swing trades as well. But as far as how I did day trading wise, I also was not able to perform today. As you guys can see, I ended down 115 on SQs and $5 on TQs. So down 120 on the day, finished down over 1%. And to end the week, right, I didn't even have one green day this week. I was down overall about, 1.5%, a little more than that actually. So not too happy with my performance, but although I was able to manage my loss, yesterday and the day before that, today I wasn't, able to get it done. And so I'm going to go ahead and explain to you guys where I went wrong and, how I can maybe improve in this instance or in this scenario, moving forward in the future. But, as far as what I saw going on and what I was focused on, I realized that the NASDAQ was falling right to a previous support. And so I knew that there was definitely going to be a chance we could test it as a support, or we were going to break through, right, and start to sell off and form this new lower high, right, and this lower low here. And so ultimately, I just wasn't too patient with it, right? We actually ended up, as soon as market opened, we were peaking up and started to sell off. We had this nice sell off here. And where did I go wrong? Well, I, was going with the flow here, but as soon as this thing picked up, right, I thought we were going to potentially sell off even more, right, and have another leg down because of the fact that we didn't quite touch the support that we found, yesterday. We got very close to it, right, but we didn't quite touch it. So I thought we were going to push up to the EMA, get rejected, and continue to sell off there yet again, right? And so although, it's not the worst idea, right, to have been going with direction, one thing that I should have been more aware of is, if this thing starts to indicate signs of reversing, right, there's obviously margin for this thing to push up on the day. So why am I going to, penny pinch trying to squeeze in this last trade on SQQQ when in reality, if this thing starts to change direction, I'm just going to completely miss out on it, right? And that's exactly what ended up happening today, right? I missed out on that move when, I was too focused on penny pinching SQs when if I just went, with a change of direction, I could have made a nice, little profit today on TQQQ. There was definitely lots of profit to be made there. And so, but let me go ahead and explain to you guys what, where I went wrong. So as I mentioned, this thing sold off, it pushed up. I tried getting into SQs. It was clearly showing signs of it, not wanting to sell off anymore. And so I kept trying to force trades on SQQQ. And then, as soon as this thing starts to reach the middle VWAP, I start going with TQQQ only to get burned, right? It did start to pull on back a bit. And then here's really where I messed up, right? So as this thing started to push up, I bought initially, with a 25% position size around here. And as it started to pick up, I got, I actually had to go to work, right? But so I decided to fully send a position as it peaked out and became very overextended around this area, right? Once I start to break below the EMA, fully sent to position because of the fact that I had to go to work, as I mentioned, right? But I definitely would not advise that, right? It was very hopeful, and just because it was very overextended doesn't mean that it had to pull on back here, right? And that's where my mistake was. I walked away being hopeful, right? Fully averaging up, expecting this thing to fall, and I set a stop loss, right? So that once this thing stopped me out, I would be down 1% on the day. And unfortunately, my stop loss got filled at a bad price. So that's why I was down over $100, right? But it just goes to show, I had the right idea. This thing did eventually end up correcting itself. But I was so impatient, right, by averaging up here and being hopeful. When in reality, once this thing does start to show signs of it making lower highs and lower lows, that's when I need to step on the gas, right? Why am I stepping on the gas when this thing hasn't necessarily showed any signs of it slowing down? So that's definitely what I would, leave you guys with today. It's if this thing, don't try to penny pinch something if the margin isn't necessarily there, right? I knew there was going to be a previous support right around this area, right? And I chose to decide to try to penny pinch for a few last trades down right to the bottom, when in reality the upside potential versus the downside of me getting into SQQQs was not worth it, right? It would have made more sense for me to start to focus on TQQQ here, because there is a potential support, right? And there's definitely a lot more upside compared to the downside that the Nasdaq offered, right, on SQQQ. But that's pretty much everything I wanted to talk about. Thank you guys so much for tuning into today's recap. I'm sorry I wasn't able to perform for you guys, but hopefully, in my next trading week, I will be able to do that. But other than that, I hope you guys all enjoy your weekend, and we will see you guys on Monday. Take care.